today's topic, we're going to talk about how to stay focused and clear while you're trying to get pregnant. So I'm going to cover some key concepts. Oh, you see my dog in the background? He's always hanging around me. So don't mind him if he's walking back and forth. So I'm going to cover some key concepts that will help you maintain focus and clarity on your motherhood journey. I'm going to first start off by explaining something that's really important for you to understand, and that is that you're working with energy. Your baby's soul is pure energy. The baby's body is potential energy that hasn't been physicalized yet. So, and even when it becomes physical matter in the form of a fertilized egg, embryo, or fetus, or if we're talking about your eggs and ovaries before fertilization, which is really where all of you, I assume, are at right now, that physical matter is still 99.9999% energy. Okay, so while physical matter may appear solid and stationary to the human eye and to your touch, it's actually, in fact, mostly made up of energy, and it's constantly in motion, and it's constantly interacting with other forms of energy in the universe. And so I'm going to quickly, very briefly, jog your memory going back to high school physics. Right? Physical matter is composed of tiny particles called atoms. Atoms are made up of even smaller particles, including the protons, the neutrons, and electrons. These particles are non-stop motion. And when they move, they generate energy in the form of electromagnetic waves. So basically, physical matter is 99.999% energy. And understanding how to work with energy is what can help you be more successful when you're trying to get pregnant in your 40s. And that's really what I teach, how to work with that energy so that you can direct it and use it to get pregnant. No matter what your age is, what your medical diagnosis is, whatever your past history is, it doesn't matter. It's a very intentional approach to conception. So we'll start off with going over the basic framework for manifesting. To be clear, manifesting is something that you do every day, all day long. So it's not a term for a special process that you have to sit down to create a ritual around. It's just something that we just naturally do. We manifest. We're creators. That is who we are. The difference is that it's usually done unconsciously. So most people don't realize that the life that they experience is a result of their unconscious thoughts, their beliefs, and their behaviors. Your relationships, your job, your house, the clothes in your closet, those are all manifestations. They don't just happen to you. They don't just poof and appear out of nowhere. They came to you as a result of what was going on in your mind in the period leading up to their physical expression. So energy in the form of desires became matter. It might have taken minutes, or it could have taken years. Most things that had more importance were years in the making, so it took a little bit longer, where your past experiences led you up to the point of manifestation, that physicality of it. For your motherhood journey, it is also the cumulative effect of all of the small moments up until this present moment, here and now, and then your future moments combining together for that end result of your baby. I liked the visualization analogy of stringing a pearl necklace. You need all those little pearls gathered together to create the necklace. And that's the same thing with the motherhood journey. It's not just one static moment. It's all of these little moments put together to allow that manifestation to occur. Okay? So every experience that you have is a direct result of what's going on within you. You feel good, life is good. You feel stressed out all the time, life is going to feel like a struggle. The external world is a mirror of your internal world. You're creating from the inside out, not from the outside in, as most people would think. So the words that I'm communicating to you, each and every one of you will experience my words differently based on your perspective, on your beliefs, on your thoughts. You have your own filter shaped by your life experience and your knowledge. Same words given by me, different experiences with each and every one of you. It's what you do with these experiences that shape your reality. So my approach to helping women manifest their baby is to make this process of choice intentional and to bring it to the conscious level. Okay, so we start with the basics of manifesting, what I call the ABC of manifesting. Step one is you need to ask. You must ask for what you want, and you be clear about what you're asking for, your final outcome. When you're clear, you're directing and focusing your energy to manifest that goal. You all have that first step down. That's why you're here listening to this. Okay, so step one is not an issue. It's just done very automatically, and it's not really something that we need to think about too much. Step two, the B of manifesting. That's what I call the but release. You want to release your doubts because that energy contradicts step one, the asking process. I want a baby, but I'm too old. I want a baby, but I've been trying for so long and nothing has happened yet. I want a baby, but my doctor says it's not possible. I want a baby, but my medical diagnosis is preventing me. It's that but that you need to release. What you do is you just say, I want a baby, period. The end of sentence, hard stop, right? And you can feel when you have that but and whatever comes afterwards, it contradicts that initial part that I want a baby. You must trust fully in your desire in the asking of it and trust fully that it's going to come to you. Okay, so that's step two, the B of manifesting. Then step three is the C of manifesting. You stay clear. You are a vessel for your baby. You're a human incubator. Hate to break it to you, but that's what you are. You are the host. No one wants to go to a party where the host is angry, frustrated, and stressed out. And if you had to show up because your husband dragged you into it because it was a business party, you know you're going to be uncomfortable and you're going to want to get the hell out as soon as possible. So it's the same thing. You are a host. You're hosting a party inside of your body. You're hosting an environment for your baby. You want to clear yourself of any negativity so that you provide an environment that's welcoming, that's comfortable, and that's loving. Okay? All right. So 3 steps: ask, the but release, and staying clear, the ABC of manifesting. Any questions about that basic framework? Just want to make sure there aren't any questions before I go on. Okay, good. So as I said, this is the basic framework. There are, can you expand on step 3, which is staying clear? Okay, so if you have a specific question that you don't understand, please put that into the chat. So so it goes back to you being a vessel. You're the host for the baby, right? You are a closed container for the baby. Whatever emotions that you have, that is part of the environment. This house that I'm living in, the decorations, the furniture, all of that, right? The curtains, everything, that's part of the environment. And so your environment it's physically your body. It's composed of physically your body, like the womb, the uterus, that's where the baby's going to be. But also part of that is going to be the energy that it's in. And so the energy is that the baby is in is determined by the emotional state that you are in. That's how the energy will express itself. So if the energy is more of love and relaxation and peace and serenity, that's a different frequency in a different environment for a baby to grow in than an environment where the energy is more frustrated, more scared, and more doubtful. And so that's what I mean about staying clear. You want to clear any of that negative emotions and negative thoughts and beliefs because it is hanging around in your body and it does affect the environment. And what it does is it lowers not only the environment of the uterus, but your overall frequency because you have an energy signature. And so the more that you stay in that low frequency, and the negative emotions are relatively lower states. You can feel that when you're in those states, your energy is much more contracted. It's tight, it's heavy. So feelings of depression and anxiety, feeling confused and lost, angry, resentful, all of those are relatively lower states of frequency, and it brings your entire energetic vibration down. Whereas if you compare that to energetic signatures, frequencies of emotions like love and joy, happiness, bliss, and fulfillment, they're relatively higher states of consciousness. And so, and when we feel those states, then our energy, you can feel how much more expanded you feel, how much more lifted, how much lighter you feel. So it's a different state. It's a different frequency, right? And so if you're able to stay in the higher states of frequency, your energy signature is also reflective of that. And so those higher states are what your baby is looking for. They're looking for a welcoming environment, for a comfortable one, for a loving one, they want to feel safe. They don't feel safe in an environment where there's a lot of fear or a lot of doubt. So when you ask for what you want that has a lot more importance to you, like the baby, it's more effective if you understand why you want it. Okay, wanting pizza for dinner doesn't require you to understand the emotional components of that request. Wanting a baby does, because you're attaching a lot more importance to that manifestation. So understand that the baby is a symbol of an emotional experience that you want to have, of how you want to feel at the end. You wouldn't want to have a baby if it was a terrible experience. You put up with the potential discomfort of pregnancy, the pain of childbirth, the sleepless nights, being spit on, wiping poop all day and all night long, because the rewards far outweigh those downsides. So what's the emotional experience that you expect to have when your baby is here? I want you to just take a few moments to think about that right now and to write it down. Okay? We see this with wealthy people and superstars all the time. You know, despite the money and the material manifestations, they're incredibly unhappy. It's because they were pursuing the material manifestations, thinking it would be the answers to their happiness and fulfillment. What they didn't realize was that it's an inside job. True happiness and fulfillment come from within. The money only magnified their loneliness, their insecurities, the shadow aspects that were already within them that had not been healed. It temporarily made them feel better, the money and, you know, the cars or whatever it was. It made them feel better for a short period of time. And then it wore off. The shine of it wore off as it does with everything. And then they went back to their default state of consciousness. So for you, I'd like for you to identify the emotions that you expect to experience when you have your baby. I'm going to give you a few seconds now to think about that. I'd love for you to put them into the chat box so we can discuss them. And if you can do that, that'd be great. So joy, comfort, love, connection, warmth, purpose, calm, wholeness, completeness, adventure. Oh, I love that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for all of that. So what you do is you amplify those emotions today. Teaching moments. Oh, that's great. Okay. So what you're doing is, so what I invite you to do is to amplify those emotions today. That's your focus, not on the material manifestation of your baby. You've already asked for it, and as long as you don't contradict that request with step B, doing the butt release, the baby is there and will come if you stay in step C. You stay clear, right? So you focus on the underlying desires and the emotions that drive your desire to have a baby, and you align yourself to those desires. So if you're talking about having a sense of adventure, how can you cultivate that sense, that adventure now without the baby? How do you amplify love without the baby? How do you have teaching moments without the baby? How do you have the feeling of calm, purpose, warmth, joy, love? How do you have them now without the baby? Because if you can bring those into your life now, the physical manifestation comes as a result because you've created a path for that energy to flow. If you expect an experience of love and you create a path paved with love, the energy of your baby will be attracted to that experience. Your baby is not going to be attracted to doubt, fear, or anxiety. So remember that you're a host of an internal party in your body. Everyone wants to go to a great party, including your baby. When they see you living your life and having fun and loving on your partner and just enjoying life, they love that. They want to see that. And I know this when my clients have connected with their spirit baby, they light up. They love to see that. And so that's what you need to do, is you bring those elements into your life. Put the manifestation of the baby to the side and focus on living your life to the fullest. Okay? So now that you're focused on staying in the emotions that match your goal, it's important to remove distractions. Distractions are ways to avoid the emotions that don't feel good, right? So the feelings like boredom, loneliness, fear, disappointment, those are very uncomfortable states to be in. So what do people do? They distract themselves with food. They eat certain foods like sugar. They avoid certain foods, like they get over controlling about their foods, overeating, undereating, social media, alcohol, smoking, recreational drugs, sex. All of this is to avoid those emotions and achieve moments of bliss externally. And so you want to be really careful about them. Are there other distractions that are common that I missed? Those are the ones that usually come up. I'm curious if I missed anything. Yeah. Netflix binges. Yeah. So Netflix binges, caffeine. Yes. So those are all distractions, right? And so you need to become aware of what you do in order. Shopping. Oh, how could I miss that one? Thank you. Shopping. Yes. So you need to become aware of what you do in order to distract yourself, and you redirect that energy to something that will feel more nourishing and uplifting. You take walks, hot baths, you exercise, meditate, read, play with your dog, dance, sing, paint. What else is there? What lights you all up? Hanging out with friends, definitely. Especially, we love to be with our community, so hanging out with friends is wonderful. Mosaicing, oh, that's cool. Karaoke, that's right. So great suggestions. I love those suggestions. Mosaicing. And then there's knitting and crocheting and all of that. And then there's those coloring books, right, for adults. So all that, it's all very meditative. Okay, cool. So you're getting the idea. One way to avoid feeling impatience or frustration is to want to control the process. So become aware when you're getting too much in the micromanagement of how you're going to get pregnant. By all means, take inspired action and set the wheels in motion. Inspired action comes from the heart and your intuition. It doesn't come from your mind. That's trying to force a result with effort, which often fails really quite spectacularly because you're working against your body and your higher self. And so the difference between following your heart and intuition is that it feels very expansive and it just feels right. There isn't any, I was going to say there isn't any questioning of it, but actually there is, because in the mind, the ego and the mind starts to kick in almost immediately. And so it's that initial hit that comes to you of what do I want to do, or how should I move forward? And it's that first thought that just drops in. And so, it's often a knowing. For me, it's more of a knowing. And as long as you're able to prevent your mind from stepping in, when you sit in that knowledge, it feels really good to you. What usually happens is your intuition kicks in and gives you some sort of piece of guidance. And then your mind steps in almost immediately and then says, no, it's not possible. You can't afford it. You don't have enough time. You're not healthy enough, whatever it is. It just steps in and just basically sabotages that initial intuitive hit. And so the work and what we do is we try to create more space in between that intuition and when that ego mind steps in. So creating that space, and eventually the ego will shut up. And so this way you just have your heart telling you what to do. But this is a process of just being very consistent about and of going with your intuition, and then recognizing that sometimes you're not going to be right, and being okay with that, being okay with falling and just getting yourself back up, and not making a big deal that, if something didn't work, it just didn't work. So you just move on. And so that's really the only way to really gain confidence in your intuition. It's a lot of trial and error in the beginning until at a certain point you start really understanding what the difference is between intuition and ego. And so you do what you need to do, what you feel inspired to do, and then you back off, you chill out. This is the relaxed part that people hate to hear, but it is so important. Because the hardest thing to do is nothing, because nothing requires trust and belief. The thing is, if you don't have enough trust or belief, your mind's going to go into action, and you're going to go down all these rabbit holes, right? Getting on the internet, reading books, consuming a lot of information because you don't trust. Ultimately, it's because you don't trust and believe in yourself, in your body. Doing nothing, believing and trusting, there's no outward activity in that process. It doesn't look productive at all. In fact, it looks like you're being a lazy bum. And it can really be, especially in the beginning, it can feel like there are ants crawling under your skin. It's like you got to do something, and your mind is constantly going. And the thing is, you don't take the bait. You just don't take the bait. You ignore it. The work is in the inner work to manage your emotions, not to go off with knee-jerk reactions to what the mind wants to do. And so understanding that the mind has a very limited perspective of what's possible. The mind goes off of what you have been exposed to consciously or subconsciously. Whereas if you gave more rein to your intuition and your heart, your intuition has that bigger picture, the 10,000-foot view of things. It sees a lot more than the mind does. And that is the beauty of giving more control over to your intuition, is because it sees things that you don't consciously see. It knows things that you don't consciously know. And so that's really why it's so, for me, and in my work, it's so important to really work on trusting yourself, because when you do that, you can shut down your ego, which is often driven by fear, and you can allow yourself to move from love, to move from peace. When you move from those higher states of consciousness, the answers that are available to you just become much more open, and there's just a lot more there for you to work with. So ease off of the desire to control the process, specifically by getting off the internet and going down the rabbit holes of how to manage each aspect of the reproductive cycle that you've read about. Let go of how it's going to happen. You're getting too much into the mental aspect. Getting pregnant is not a mental process. It's one that requires trust and patience and connection with your body. You want to listen to your body and give it the care and the attention that it needs. Eating a healthy diet, exercising regularly, managing your stress levels. those really basic elements are extremely important in terms of nourishing your body and nourishing your spirit. Okay, so really do your best to avoid those distractions. Letting go also means that you reduce the importance that you give to each phase of your cycle, whether you're trying naturally or with medicated cycles like IVF or inseminations. People kind of get really wrapped up in, what to do before ovulation and then ovulation, during the 2-week wait, during the stim cycle, getting ready for the transfer and all of that. They get very involved in each phase of their cycle. I invite you to trust that your body knows what to do. Okay, remember, it's far more intelligent than your mind. You don't have to do anything for your heart to pump and to circulate blood, to digest food, to extract oxygen from the air. It's the same thing with your reproductive system. You don't need to do anything. Trust in yourself, trust in your body, right? There's that word again. It comes down to trust. You want to get comfortable with it, okay? Another aspect of having trust is to avoid creating the what-if scenarios. What if my period comes? What if the cycle doesn't work? What if fill in the blank doesn't work out the way that I expected? As soon as you create plan B, plan C, and so on, it becomes a potential reality. And you want to shut all of that down because you really want to just stay focused on the good outcome that you want. And so wherever you are in your cycle, the outcome is a healthy baby. That's it. And you want to really stay focused on it. If whatever it is that you're doing doesn't go according to plan, just trust yourself enough to figure it out at that time. You don't need to figure it out right now. You don't need to figure out potential future events in the present moment. You address it when it comes up. And so that's a really, really critical part of understanding how energy works, is that every time you create a new pathway, a new plan, it creates a path for a potential outcome. You've now created a direct link to that potential outcome happening. And so the only one that you care about, I would think, is having a healthy baby. And so that's what you stay locked into wherever you are in your cycle as much as you can. And then whatever it is that you need to figure out, just know that you'll figure it out at the time that you need to. Don't create these scenarios trying to figure out every little every little step of the way. You're not going to know what your entire plan is going to look like. It's just not possible, because at every point in time, you have a choice to make. So you had a choice to attend this with me. Thank you very much. Or you had a choice to do something else. So if you had chosen to do something else, that created an entire path of its own. You attended, you're going to take this information and do whatever it is that you're going to do with it. And that creates a whole multitude of different paths, because depending on whatever you do with the information, whether you completely put it out of your mind and just go on with your day, that's one path. If you decide to implement one thing that I say, let's say you're going to implement the ABC of manifesting, that's another path. If you're going to implement focusing on removing distractions, that's another path. So it is impossible for you to know every single step of the road. And that's where people get into trouble. You just stay in the present moment and you figure it out as it comes up. I know that you want to feel more safe and comfortable by thinking of these scenarios in advance. It does not work to your advantage from a manifestation standpoint. It helps your ego feel more comfortable, and it relaxes your mind because you've figured all of this out and you've created all these scenarios. But then ultimately, at the end of the day, how often do complicated situations, complex situations ever really turn out the way that we expect, right? Hardly ever. At least in my life, it's like hardly ever. So just let it go, right? Just be fully in the present moment of wherever you are in the cycle, bringing those emotions that you have articulated and written down, bringing them into your daily life, and really focusing on just removing the negative thoughts and emotions and providing that, being that clear and empty vessel for a baby. If you're not able to feel, genuinely feel and sincerely feel peace and calm, that's okay. You don't have to, and you certainly don't have to 100% of the time. It's just, it needs to be a little bit more like 51% of the time. And so, but if you really can't reach those emotions, then go into a state of neutrality. And so that's actually very doable, where you're just not reacting to situations so much. You know, it's, you're taking in the experiences that you have, and you're being very neutral about it. No judgment of it, no creating stories, and no creating assumptions of it. That's another way to go as well. And so those are different ways of managing stress, of managing the situations, and then turning them around into your favor. And that's what's going to be really important in terms of your outcome, because you know, you really want to make sure that you go into it with as much positivity and trust as you can, because what you expect is what you're going to get. So if you're expecting struggle, you're going to get struggle. So I really encourage people to really move into a sense of ease, or a sense of happiness or joy or love, whatever it is that they can really connect with now. Just really own that. And then just being in that state for as long as you can, as often as you can, and just every time you get thrown off or pulled off of that, then you just pivot back as quickly as you can. And it's okay. Don't judge yourself. Don't blame yourself. Just, you know, have compassion for yourself. It's not an easy road. And so, but it's one where you want to think of it as a marathon. You just keep going. Just keep going. You know, just understand that there are challenges that you're going to have, and this is part of the journey. And you just kind of take it in stride, and you just keep moving forward. We've covered the basic structure of manifestation, the ABC, right? A is the ask, B is the but removal, C is stay clear. Identifying the emotional experience that you're seeking and wanting the baby, and create that now without the baby. That's really critical to your success. Removing distractions and letting go. So there are some 4 basic concepts for you to work with. So if the idea of working the way that I've been talking about today resonates with you and lights you up, like it sits really well with you and you want to work with me, I invite you to schedule an assessment call with me. I'll put the link to schedule your call with me in the description box below. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And so I hope this has been helpful in moving you forward with your motherhood journey. All right, take care. Bye.